Hi everyone, it's Shane from Hanlon's for another Maintenance Monday. As we get into June, thoughts turn towards windrowers and cutting hay. And so what we're going to do for you today is we're going to go through, it'll be not a brief synopsis, but a quick synopsis of what you need to do to start cutting hay, just a little refresher course with your windrower. So let's begin. So where we're going to start is on the main screen here, and what you'll do is you'll just press the tractor button to make sure that you're back there. So we've got our header RPM, we've got our auto cut percentage, of course our diagnostic gauges. This is your flotation pressure, your header tilt, and then this is the position of your header, and the green line there is where it cuts in and starts to record acres for those of you that do acres. So top right hand corner you got rabbit turtle. That's pretty straightforward. You push the button, it comes up and it tells you which gear, right? You're going to cut in first gear normally. Your auto steer will only work in first and second gear, and then of course if your windrower is equipped with rear steer, you already know how to use that. You push the button, it tells you to drive ahead for 30 or 40 feet till it gets everything synchronized, and away you go down the road at 24.5 miles an hour. So that takes care of the first screen there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to press the tractor with a wrench, because we always come up with issues of remembering. So the first one is return to cut. So when you have that box checked, as soon as you hit your down switch, then the header drops automatically to the ground. The second one is auto flotation. This is 9870 and newer cutters that have that. This one here is one that's often checked by a new operator, and then you can't get your header to lift. What this does if it's checked is it dumps the flotation pressure on the header. So you don't want a check mark in that box. And then if your windrower is so equipped, auto cut control, right? And then you engage it. Next one down is the sensitivity on your steering. The one below that is the amount of tension that is on the steering, and that takes care of that screen. The next thing you want to go into is in the header with a wrench. So you want to have auto engaged here, and then normally a good place to start in Alfalfa, and what you do is roll the dial. You can see that blue box moving there. A good place to start in Alfalfa is somewhere between 1900 and 2000. So we're going to just roll it to 1950, hit the button and lock that in. And then flotation pressure wise, it's going to be somewhere in the 1350 to 1450 range. If you have it on auto, then it will just adjust the machine for you as conditions change. So best to run that in auto if at all possible. If you don't have the auto feature on your older windrower, what you're aiming for is 75 pounds of pressure to lift that corner of the header up when it's down on the ground. So drop it onto the ground, go out and see how much force it takes to lift it, and then away you go from there. So that pretty much does it for setting everything else up, because normally you've gone through and you've set your buttons how you want them on your joystick, and we'll get into auto steer a little bit later on. So we've moved out of the cab and we're going to work on the exterior of the windrower for settings. So the first thing you want to do, and of course we're focusing on Alfalfa, you're going to open the valve up here. The tractor engine needs to be running, and then you're going to drop the pressure down to the bottom of the green, which is about 600 pounds. Once you have that set with your decrease or increase, then you'll lock the valve and you're good to go there. So the next thing that you want to check is your skid shoe setting, and of course if it was good last year, it'll probably be good this year. A great place to start is in the bottom hole and the second hole of the skid shoe itself. This one is in the top and the center. Somewhere in the middle of the road is where you want to start, and then of course you want to have your bed tilted back to 0 and then go and make a cut and see what your cutting height is and adjust from there. The first thing you want to do is adjust those skid shoes on the back of the header and then start tilting the header in, because the more angle of tilt that you have on that header, the more scalping you do in your field, and also the more chance you have of picking up some kind of a foreign object and causing damage. So the next place that we need to adjust, and a good place to start, is on the swath board. And so where you want to have that is either on the second or the third hole. The idea is that you want to have that material shooting back to the back of the forming shields, and of course this is just a guideline, so to get it going straight back there. And then the other thing that you want to do is adjust your forming shields, the height on that back shield. And a good place to start is either 2 or 3 links sticking out forward. That will get that shield pretty level. So the idea is you also want to open up the side forming shield there and get your windrow out as wide as possible, because most guys are shooting for 4.5, 5 foot windrowers, just enough to get the rake tractor in between the windrows. So open those up as wide as possible. Just make sure that you snug up those nuts, because they do come loose if you don't tighten them up, and then they fall off the machine and they're gone forever. So the last thing you want to check is you want to go back and you want to make sure that this tailboard is pointing towards the ground as far down as possible. Basically what's happening is that material's coming off the rolls, coming all the way to the back, hitting this tailboard, and then falling down by gravity and stacking, and then that gives you that nice square windrow that you've come to know on the Massey cutter or the Heston cutter. So again, for a quick review, we want about 1950 for our header speed. You want to have it on auto flotation, which is going to give you 1350 to 1400. You want 600 psi on your rolls. You want your skid shoe set in the middle and your header tilted back as far as possible, as close to 0 as possible. And then set your tailboard and your forming shields like we've discussed, and that'll give you a pretty good start to go out and start cutting some alfalfa. Hopefully that helps you out. If you have any questions, otherwise you can always give us a shout or drop us a line, but hopefully that helps. Thanks for watching.